up nearly 12% from a year earlier. But now in an odd couple pairing on Capitol Hill, Senate Leader Harry Reid and Kentucky Senator Republican Rand Paul are pitching a one-time tax holiday to encourage companies to bring that money back home, a move which could provide a short-term Treasury windfall of $20 to $30 billion in the next 2 years. Joining me now, first on CNBC, Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul. Good to see you again, Senator.
Glad to be with you, Sara.
So I don't know which is a bigger deal here, that you're teaming up with Harry Reid or the plan itself.
Senator Reid and I actually have very warm personal relations, and we've been meeting informally for months, both us and staff, to try to do something good for America. We spend $40 billion on roads, but we only bring in $30 billion. There's a chronic deficit. We're not able to have enough money for building roads. We actually estimate higher than the tax agency estimates. We think it could be as much as 50 to 60 billion if you do it over about a 3-year period. Personally, I would do it forever because I think a lot of money would come home over a long period of time at a low rate. So I'm for forever, but I'll compromise if all I can get is a couple years. 2 or 3 years would be a great boon. We've got a lot of bridge needs and roads needs in Kentucky and across America. I think this is a win-win situation. Lower a tax and bring in more revenue.
So, and lay out exactly the plan under consideration. 2 or 3 years, what tax rate, how much it brings in, and then what happens after that?
I think a low single digit. It's got to be below 10. I would prefer 5, but that's one of the negotiations we'll have with Democrats who are sponsors of this. Personally, I love 5 and I love forever. Some of the Democrats are going to want shorter and a little bit higher. We split the difference. So the people who say we won't compromise up here, I will compromise. I'll split the difference with the Democrats on this if we can get something good for America. The main thing holding this up is the traditional Washington mentality is, oh, we want a grand bargain. We want overall tax reform or nothing. Well, for 4 years I've been here, and we've got nothing. I say break this baby up into small pieces. Do this on the transportation bill in the next 3 weeks, and we'll do something that Republicans and Democrats both like. Lower a tax, bring in more revenue, and build more roads.
But what the problem is, this happened back in 2004. We saw this tax holiday for overseas cash, and it was not hailed as a success. In fact, many said that it would never happen again. The problem is twofold. Number one, companies would be incentivized to keep their profits overseas until the next tax holiday, which could happen again. And number two, it brings in a lot of money in the short term, but ends up costing the federal government in the long run.
I think you've just made the argument for making it permanent. And here's my argument. Let's say we made it 5% forever. Currently, about 5% of profit comes home. So if we earn 100 or a trillion next year, about 50 billion comes home every year. That's at an effective rate, let's say, of 15%. If we make the effective rate 5%, do you think it'll continue to come home at the same rate or greater? If you lower a tax rate, does more money come home chronically or less money?
Yes, but in the longer term,
inevitably more money comes home. You will bring more money home.
But in the longer term, that lower rate,
Senator,
that longer term, that lower rate ends up costing. In fact, the Joint Committee on Taxation says over the next decade will cost $95.8 billion.
They're wrong. They use funny math, and they also accept a fallacy. Here's the fallacy. If you lower a tax rate, will revenue and capital come home at the same rate or a greater rate? Forever. It comes home a bunch in the beginning, but if you had this forever, currently only about 5% of profits earned overseas come home. If I lower your rate, how much do you think comes home? More than 5% or less than 5%? The tax scoring agency, the tax scoring agency says that you get a bubble of revenue, but then they maintain that less than 5% comes home over the next 7 years. They're just frankly wrong. We've never done it for more than a year. There's no objective evidence. There's conjecture, and they're frankly wrong. If you lower a rate, more money will come home. If 5% comes home now, I think it'll be 6, 7, 8. I don't know the number, but logic tells you it'll be a higher percentage chronically than it is now, comes home at a lower rate.
Got it. And it'll help the U.S. economy. We're going to see a Paul Reid plan anytime soon on the Senate floor?
I am hopeful. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I like Harry Reid personally. I'm working hard with him. But we have to get beyond all the traditional Washington restraints that say, oh, we're getting the big deal next year. Just wait till after the election. We'll get the big deal. The big deal never comes around here. Let's go for a small deal, but still significant enough to help the country.
Yeah, well, those profits are significant enough overseas. Senator Rand Paul, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us with the latest proposal. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Andrew, back over to you.
Sarah, thank you.